Record button has been pushed. We're both in frame. This is beautiful.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Cool. Let's run it. All right, everybody.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Wait, let's do it.
Yeah. Wait. 3 times.
That's gonna work. Perfectly. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of This Week in Pickleball. I'm Rafa.
I'm Aaron.
All right, guys. We've taken a couple of weeks off here. A lot of stuff going on. Aaron, how was Alaska?
It was cool.
Yeah. So you went on a cruise?
Yeah.
Did you guys was it one of those cruises that you get off and do stuff?
Yeah.
Or?
So well, it's a little bit different between like my family and then my wife's family. My wife's family does like a lot of excursions and stuff because they're all a little bit younger.
Yeah.
And then my family is like, let's hang out and let's gamble. So yeah, we gambled.
There we go. Did we end up in the green?
No.
That's not what matters, though. What matters is that it was fun.
It was family time, and we had fun.
Yeah, and then you'll do it again. Perfect. All right, well, that's cool. So, Aaron, I wanted to start off today with an interesting question that just kind of popped into my mind. So, watching a lot of ads recently, especially on YouTube, a lot of companies, their campaigns are centered around Selkirk. Their campaigns are like, this is, for example, Friday Pickleball. Their whole YouTube campaign is you don't need to buy a $300 paddle with a hole in it, which fair. Forward bags, they always compare their bags to Selkirk bags. That's just a couple of examples. Most companies, I would say, compare a lot of their products to Selkirk. As a reviewer community, I feel like we've been saying for a long time that Selkirk is behind on technology, that they are, especially the last couple of years. And we've seen other companies like it that have just become irrelevant, like Onyx, for example, not a company that anybody was really talking about for years until they released their recent paddles. Why do you think companies throughout the time that Selkirk has quote unquote been behind are still comparing their products to Selkirk?
I think because like Selkirk's been around for such a long time, everyone who has been with pickleball knows what Selkirk is. So it's an easy comparison to make, right? When you've been around forever, plus you're kind of like an industry average in terms of a lot of things, it's always easy to compare when something is slightly better, right? So like, for example, Friday, I would say above average paddle for that price point, right? So it's super easy to compare to like the SLK line minus some of Selkirk's newer stuff.
Right.
Like Yola, also very strong above average paddle, just longevity issues, right? The forward bag, sick bag, right? But again, everyone knows that giant Selkirk single color bag with the big Selkirk letters across. Everyone just knows that bag. So it's super easy to compare when you know that I think the mass majority of your audience has at least heard or seen of it.
Okay. So you're saying that despite the perception of being behind on tech, they've remained so popular that this makes sense.
I mean, they've remained relevant in the terms of pickleball, right? Like, the only people who have really been like, oh, Selkirk is behind the times is people who play at 4-0 and up.
Yeah.
Right? But I can go around here and I can see amongst all the players here playing, I'm going to find a Gen 1 Selkirk Invicta, right? People don't care. People don't know, right? Like, in the reviewer community, we know what the newest tech is. We know all these things, but there'll be so many people who, like, the average consumer, you go to them, you tell them, oh, there's this great paddle, and you say, let's say like 11.624. You're like, what is that? I've never heard of it, right?
Yeah.
Even though like in the reviewer community and people who watch podcasts, they'll be like, oh, great paddle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm very much on the same page. So my thought was exactly the same. It's just that Selkirk has driven so much popularity over time that there's still going to be a paddle and a company that everybody compares themselves to. I think another big thing is that I've noticed a lot of people will get bogged down in the details the same way that we do as reviewers and podcasters. But it's one of the main reasons why I think it's so important for people to watch multiple reviews on a product, is because not only do we all have different opinions and we'll pick up on different things, but also as reviewers, we're so nerdy and nitpicky about certain things that sometimes I feel like in the past I would get surprised by a certain trend, but I'm no longer surprised by those because we don't. Some reviewers drive the trends, but outside of that, it's important to know that reviewers aren't the end all be all. Yeah. Whether or not something is good or bad, and we definitely don't determine what's going to be popular and what's not. Yeah. For the most people. So.
Sorry, I just realized I have my shoes on. So.
Oh no, you gotta take those off.
Yeah, you gotta take the dogs
off. Okay. I was about to make a fire segue because I want to talk about. Okay. This is a great segue topic into the SLK era. So let's go ahead and whip that bad boy out. So since we last talked about it, the era has been released. Again, the price point is at $199. It's an elongated raw carbon fiber paddle, floating core. Your opinion changed a little bit on it today. How so?
Okay, so I used to say that the Era was the best paddle that Selkirk has ever made, kind of comparing it to just all the other Selkirks. But in general, I'll say that actually this paddle is just a good paddle overall. So not in terms of like comparing it to past Selkirks, but in general, it's just a solid paddle.
Okay. And where would you place it on a power scale? Because it's the Era power, technically, right? Would you place this as a power paddle?
I would. Definitely place it as a power paddle. I would say, close to the Huaraches, if not more.
Yeah.
I think this one is broken in just a little bit. I noticed the difference today when hitting it. I was probably getting an extra mile and a half. It just fell faster. I don't know.
It did, yeah, for sure. I think the break-in period on this is pretty short, which is good. I think I'm not a huge fan of break-in in general. I want my paddle to feel how it's going to feel. But if I do have to deal with it, I'm happier when I can get the final result faster. But yeah, I still think that this paddle is incredibly solid. It's a paddle that I think a lot of people could potentially play stock.
I'll play it stock, yeah.
You'd play it stock. I would weight it a little bit lower. It feels, because this is a 5.8 inch handle, so this is more than enough room for two hands, no finger on the back required. Because of that, the balance point is shifted higher, so I do definitely want probably some throat weight down here. I'll probably throw a slice cap down here at the bottom. Or sorry, not a slice cap. I hate slice caps. Flick weight down here at the bottom. And a lot of people were discussing how nitpicky I was about there being no design down here. The only saving grace on this is that I would throw a flick weight down here, so any design down here is not going to matter.
Actually, the design would make it worse because you'd have to take the design off to make your flick weight stay plush, right?
That is fair, unless they UV printed it on there, which I feel like a lot of people do. But this is better. I would rather have a no design butt cap like this than the bubble caps like we have on other paddles.
Yeah, that come off.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, this is definitely Selkirk's best paddle. Is it a solid paddle overall? Yes, I do 100% agree with that. The only other thing that I really wanted to comment on this was that there aren't a lot of really bad things about it. I just felt like personally my timing lagged a little bit because of the high balance point, but that's a me thing. But a lot of people have been asking or talking about whether or not this paddle is the same as the Huarache X. That's because 11624 made a post.
Yeah, and it's literally the blue version of this next to it side by side.
Yeah.
Like imitation.
Yeah, and I will say, I put out a short video on it. This is going to be a full-blown Mythbusters episode that I'm going to do, whether or not these paddles are exactly the same. Essentially, the preview I wanted to provide is that the shapes are extremely similar. They are not the same, but they are undoubtedly very similar. Obviously, the construction style, as in raw carbon fiber face, floating polypropylene core, 16 millimeter, calling it Era power. We have Huarache X power. There's a lot of similarities. I do not think these paddles play remotely similar, and I do personally have a preference, but I also know that it is a little bit different from what other people have been saying. So that video is going to come soon. I don't think this is the same as the Huarache X. I do think they are potentially similar enough to where the Huarache X may be a little bit more worth it at its price point, but that's okay overall. I mean, again, at $200, Selkirk brings the price down and brings out their best paddle. If you're a Selkirk fanboy, I don't think that I think they're all gonna get this. There's a reason why every single pro switched to it, except for like one or two.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a good
I think you and I differ in opinion. I like this.
Over the Huarache X. You haven't hit the Huarache X recently. I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna bring it for you, and we're gonna do it.
I like the year warranty versus the 6-month warranty.
I do like that way more. I agree with that 100%. Okay, so the next paddle we're gonna talk about, this one had gotten a lot of buzz, so I finally got my hands on it thanks to Dr. Christy Price. So shout out to her. This is the Element 6 SURTR. Now, you'd seen this paddle online, but had no idea what this was about. What was your impression of how it felt and then how it played?
It was quite pingy.
Yeah.
Very, I think you put it nicely. You said it was very like 3S-ish feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't particularly like the way it felt.
Right.
But at the same time, I couldn't complain about the results I got from it.
In what way?
Like resets felt fine, dinks felt fine, drives felt, good. It's like hard. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, like, it's just a solid paddle. It just felt funny, like I didn't have to adjust the way I swung. But when I swung, it just felt weird.
Yeah, so I see what you're saying. I'm inclined to agree, just because so there are certain paddles where the performance doesn't match the feel. I can hate how the paddle feels, and yet the performance is still pretty top notch.
Yeah.
And that is how I felt about this one.
But I think it's a preference thing, right? So like, if you like the 3S, you'll like this. You know? If you don't have a problem with kind of that really responsive feel, right? Would you say responsive?
Yes.
Okay, so if you like that responsive feel, you'll like it. I tend to play, again, that's for the same reason why some people like Kevlar or the polyester weave over carbon fiber. I just like raw carbon fiber more than I like all the others. I think it's purely a preference thing.
Right, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think what did it for me is that this is a Gen 3 style construction paddle. You can tell from the sound, you can tell from how it plays. Again, very, like you said, very 3S kind of. What I feel, the main reason I compare it to the 3S is because I wasn't a huge fan of the 3S. I felt like it kind of hit like a solid foam board. You kind of said it kind of felt like styrofoam on the inside. It's exactly that. That's a good way to put it. But yeah, like you said, there wasn't a lot performance-wise where it lacked. You can definitely feel like control is lacking a little bit. I feel like I would pop the ball up on resets against another power paddle. But like you said, what I was expecting because of how it's made is a more plush feel. and yet it feels, again, very responsive, poppy, not super high dwell time, but still plays very well. Like, plays up there with the better Gen 3 paddles that have been released.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But I think, like, so one thing that we should actually probably talk about at some point, maybe not this pod, but another pod, is I think we need to talk about paddle performance versus speed of ball, like, that you're receiving off of the ball. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think, like, this paddle here, if I was playing against a medium pace hitter, feels great. But then, like, certain paddles, like for me, that the Paddletek, like the 12.7, it doesn't matter what I do. For me personally, I just can't keep a ball low over the net when I'm resetting or dropping, right? It's just too much. But if I'm playing against someone who's hitting a ball slow or medium pace and I get to be proactive, then I like it. You know, it just depends on, I guess, who I'm playing against.
Yeah, I feel like it comes down to a control thing. Like, it definitely does need to be taken into account if you are playing against, you know, the average advanced player nowadays who's probably using a Gen 3 or Gen 4 very hard-hitting paddle, or just hard-hitting players in general, how easy it is to control the ball off their shots, how easy is it to reset the ball. The Armas, for example, much easier to reset.
For me.
For you, and for me, I've experienced that as well, like, off of a harder shot than the average Gen 3 constructed paddle. This definitely, you'd find it difficult to control a ball that comes at you with fast pace.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. I think that's something, that might be something I integrate in review, because I've started doing reviews where I go and I try to take you from baseline to kitchen line transition, how the paddle feels. It definitely needs to be said that, you know, especially in the mid-court with this paddle, if you've got somebody with even some, you leave a reset a little bit high, you're going to leave the next one probably higher to get the ball back. But this was still very, very strong performance. Again, the feel was just interesting, and it's priced at $200. There's really not a lot features wise. You could ask of this. You know, the handle is 5.5. The swing weight didn't feel too heavy. I threw 3 grams of Braden's tungsten tape here from Pickleball Effect at the bottom, which will now be linked in the description. You can get a discount there. But yeah, I think the tape looks really sleek. But yeah, there's just there's a plushness. I lean personally more towards plushness and less towards responsiveness on paddles in general. And being at $200, you know, I think there are some better ones that are in a similar price range if you want that more plusher feel. Yeah, that we may have just talked about one of them.
Yeah. No, but good paddle, just not for me.
Yeah, agreed, but still good. Let's throw ones over there. All right, so now we're looking at Body Helix again. They sent this out. This is the TERRACORE, the F1 TERRACORE XC. So this is very much a Magnus shape overall. This is Gen 4 constructed, raw carbon fiber, 16 mil. What I didn't tell you, first tell me how it felt. What did you think that it was when you first?
I originally thought it was just a floating core polypropylene paddle. I like the grit.
The grit is nice.
Yeah, and then I was like, so is it Gen 3? He's like, no. Gen 2? He's like, no. And then I go, Gen 4. I'm like, this is a foam core? It definitely did not feel like a foam core.
Yeah. Again, so it's a foam core. What essentially this is there are circular holes. So it's EPP, so which is the same foam that's used in the True Foam, but there are circular holes that are like evenly spaced, like a grid, just in the center. And so essentially the reason why I think it gives off a non-foam core feel is because foam cores typically have a really steep drop off of the sweet spot because you've got like a solid block of foam that typically goes on the sides. This does still have that, but whereas other foam cores, you may have different sized holes in it. This is just all the same hole, and it's a grid, and it's like a, you know, it'll be like a 5x7 grid of just tiny holes in it, which I think
They go all the way through?
They go all the way through, which I think helps the ball sink in a little bit more and give you that more like pocketing feel that a floating core gives you.
Okay.
I think, what did you think of the power?
Rips.
Rips the ball.
Dude, one of the hardest hitting paddles I've hit, I think. I think I hit like 2 forehands. I think one of them, I almost bagged you from like the baseline.
Yeah, I hit my handle.
Yeah, the power on this one is, it's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
But you can keep the ball in because it's got some nice grit.
Yeah, I agree. This is probably my favorite. You haven't hit a lot of body helix, probably any body helix
I
paddle.
hit the other one.
The one from like a couple pods ago, you
Yeah.
hit that one. But before that, those are the only 2 that you've hit. So I've been hitting body helix paddles for a long time. This is definitely my favorite that they've released. Again, that's because I'm a power paddle person, sue me. But I think I would have loved a version of this with potentially a longer handle and less. I would sacrifice.
That's short. This is what, 525.
Yeah, it's again, it's very like Magnus reminiscent. You can, for somebody with smaller hands, you can fit 2 on there comfortably. For me, you can fit 2 hands slightly uncomfortably. If you have large hands, there's no way you're putting 2 fingers on the back at least.
I got big hands.
Okay.
I mean, I think the Magnus is what, 5, right?
Is it 5? It's either 5 or 5.1.
Yeah,
It's longer than a Magnus.
This is a 525 for sure.
Yes, it's reminiscent of a Magnus shape because it's got the longer face. It's elongated, but it has a longer face to a shorter handle.
Price?
You know what? That's a good question.
F1 because it hits and makes ball go fast like F1?
Like F1, yeah. No, it is. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I don't think is it not released yet? I think that's why. So right now it's like right now there's the prototype is available.
Is this the prototype?
This is not the prototype though. This is a USAP approved version.
Oh.
That's why we got them. But yeah, so these hit softer a little bit than the they call it a sandbox version. They're prototyping that they allow people to buy from. So you can get an illegal version of this for $80 to $100, less than 100 with discount code RAFA at checkout.
Oh.
But I don't think a lot of people are really interested in prototypes overall, to be honest. I think that I would wait for this one. But yeah, I agree with you. Power-wise, very high up there. Not necessarily Arma level, but probably like Ripple level, I would say. I think you...
Slightly above Ripple level because like, you didn't break this in, right?
No.
Yes.
And it still hit the ball pretty hard.
It hit hard without any break-in. It was good.
Yeah, fully foam, nice and gritty. This is so much better than the last paddle that I had you hit.
Body Helix?
Yeah, from Body Helix. I think the 16 mil makes it feel even plusher than, say, a true foam, just because you've got that extra foam thickness there, like pockets the ball a bit more.
Could you play it stock?
I would play it with like 2 grams on the sides here. I did feel like my resets were lacking a bit.
I think I could play
Ability-wise.
stock. I play stock.
You could play a lot of paddle stock with this. This one could use a little modification, but this is a great paddle from Body Helix. Definitely a review, possible full review contender there.
Could also, yeah, I would, if someone gifted it to me or if I were to buy it because I was looking for a new paddle, it could be in the running.
If they price that under 200,
I would
that's going
buy
to be very worth it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk AVOURA. So this is going to be an interesting conversation. So again, AVOURA came out with 2 new shapes to add to their lineup. We have the REVAYA, a more hybrid shape, and the REVELLE, an elongated shape. they also dropped the price. So last time we talked about the original Avoura, it was $220 or $230, and we were like, at that price, you know, we're kind of passing on them. They brought these out and dropped the price of the whole lineup down below $200, down to $199. $199 seems to be a popular price range nowadays.
Yep.
So given that, and given how did these paddles play for you? We'll start stock, because we did add weight and felt
Stock,
differently.
I thought they were kind of booty.
Yeah, here's what we probably should have started off with. There was a huge difference in weight between the sets that we received.
Yeah.
So your paddles felt significantly higher balance point, higher swing weight.
Yeah.
Like significantly. Mine felt very maneuverable, especially like for an elongated paddle. The REVELLE moved very quick in my hands. That's a non-starter for you, because that definitely contributed to part of the experience.
Yeah.
But at the same time, these shapes are worse than the original shape.
I think so.
Right.
The original shape stock is, I think, the where you get basically the reward from these paddles here, I guess, is like supposedly the baseline when you're like driving or dropping or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think overall, like if you could use these for the drives and drops and then the other shape for the mid-court and dinks and stuff, you'd be like, yo, that's the perfect paddle.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that I struggled so much from mid-court coming forward with these, I think that's why originally probably just was not a huge fan.
Yeah. Well, let's see. That's an interesting point, because I think, if anything, like let's say that we said that to them, I think the argument would be that the REVELLE is the elongated and the REVAYA is the hybrid.
They'd be like, this is the one.
They'd be like, yeah. So they'd be like the REVAYA. No, not the REVELLE. The REVELLE is the. Oh wait, no, yeah. Sorry, the REVELLE is the hybrid one. They would say that this is the one that's supposed to be that in between one.
I know.
And I kind of agree. Like the REVELLE was the best one.
This was the best out of the two.
Out of the two, the REVELLE was the clear winner.
My problem was, again, my swing weight was, I think, just too high for me.
Yeah.
And so it didn't matter where I put the weight. So like I tried weight here on the sides. I tried a little bit of weight on the top. But then I need weight on the bottom then, because I put so much weight here and it just screws up my balance point.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you hit the center of the paddle and you find the sweet spot, which is slightly larger than I think I originally gave it credit for.
Yeah.
It's good. But there's quite a bit of drop off between where the sweet spot is and where it isn't. Like, you hit anything up here on this top part, the ball goes nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, the sweet spot is definitely it's not small, but it's on the tighter side. Now that is why we put weight here on the very top corners and the very top of the paddle, and that resolved a lot of the issues.
It did on yours.
On mine, which again was the lighter version.
So I think if you get one that's like this, maybe I just got a slightly heavier batch.
Yeah. I
enjoyed playing actually your setup. I didn't necessarily enjoy mine.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy yours either. The Avouras paddles have always leaned on the lighter side. I think it's just you got a heavier batch, unfortunately. But yeah, playing with the weight towards the top, I would describe this. So you get paddles, again, we've been talking like plushness versus more reactive, more like you can essentially feel the ball more. And this leans more towards that spectrum. I was almost inclined to give it a Paddletek type vibe, but with a larger sweet spot.
Very much so Paddletek vibe.
Yeah, because the thing is both paddles super maneuverable, really decent on the power side. I put the Paddleteks over this power-wise by a significant amount.
I think sweet spot's larger on this than it is on the Paddletek.
Yes. So if you liked the Paddletek and you didn't mind, and you can afford to sacrifice power for bigger sweet spot, which I think would benefit more players, then you go for this one.
Yeah.
It is also now $30 cheaper, whereas before they were pretty much.
I mean, this is.
price.
I think if you were going to compare, this is a good deal over the Paddletek if you like that kind of feel, because again, this is $60, $70 cheaper than your Paddletek.
You're right, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you get the right weight distribution on your paddle, it'll make up for any kind of difference, I think, that you're going to see within the Paddletek. It's just, again, mine came in a little bit too heavy. Balance point was slightly higher for some reason.
Yeah.
But this one was good.
Yeah, I agreed, 100%. Yeah, good spin. Really, again, with this setup, it's still very maneuverable, very manageable from the baseline. Definitely an all-court paddle. So if you want a power paddle, not for you. But if you like, and also if you want a plush paddle, we've been talking a lot of foam paddles, the body helix, your floating core paddles, the J2s from Honolulu, all plush paddles that make it harder to feel the ball, but give you a more satisfying ball strike. But if you want to know exactly where you're placing the ball, then the Paddletek, $30 difference, and sweet spot feels too small for you. This is probably the best alternative that I could think of.
But also wait for the pink one to come out.
The pink one.
The pink one.
The design is so sick already. Like Avoura's branding is so good. But the pink one is gonna be better.
The pink one is
gonna be sick.
Yeah.
So
I think these two also look a lot better than the original.
I do agree with the white edge guard.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was they look much cleaner. All right.
This one will be short.
Next, so the REVOLIN Torch Reach. This one is going to be a short one from us because this needs weight.
A lot of weight.
This needs a lot of weight. It feels decent for like as an overall paddle. Feels decent. This is REVOLIN's first power paddle that they're coming with. It is elongated. It's got really good dimensions. It's very reminiscent of a Perseus. It might be even almost exactly the same shape. So, and that's a great paddle shape. The thing is that with every single shot that you take on this one, you're like, it feels good, but it feels good, but there's no weight behind it at all. It gives me, we talked about this, it gives me the C45 hybrid vibes. The only difference is that the C45 felt absolutely unplayable stock, versus this, you do feel like the ball sits on the face just a little bit more, and if the sweet spot definitely feels bigger, but the problem is that despite how big the sweet spot is, it's hard to get the ball over because you have to give it so much.
Yeah, I mean, this one from the back of the court, I felt like I definitely had to swing pretty hard, and it felt just a little bit like flimsy, I guess. It felt flimsy.
Yeah.
But when I was up at the front and I was dinking, it felt great. And like volleys and hands feel great.
Yeah.
And the grip feels really nice, actually.
The grip is nice. The grip is good. It's like you said, super maneuverable. Really easy net play. But yeah, once you start going back further towards the kitchen line, you need some oomph, and you don't get it.
Especially if you're playing against a heavier hitter, it's gonna feel like you're gonna get pushed around.
Oh yeah.
Without any weight.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. So we bring this out to say that it's promising, but you are going to need to weight up. I'm probably gonna weight up the entire head.
Yeah, like the whole original C45 thing where you put like weight all the way around like this.
You need to do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just took a page out of that book, and the C45 was a completely different paddle with weight. So we're gonna revisit that one next week. All right. ultimate paddle, or rather the last paddle of today, we have the new GTOs from Paddletek. Now, I don't think that there is a ton that we can say about these just yet. They do release, though, on June 30th, and pictures are out. So I did want to at least bring these out so that we can show you guys, especially because the original paddles were, the colors were just the red one, the white and purple, and then the black with blue. I think I actually really like these new colors. I
do too.
I think the blue is cool.
Yeah, I mean, they had this pink one anyways, though. Right?
Oh, that is true.
They have this pink, they have that purple one.
Yeah.
They have the red.
Yeah. I think, is it just the blue then? That's the addition to this one?
They had the blue.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
but
I'm
this is
dumb.
the Kyle Yates one.
Yeah, maybe I'm dumb. So the Kyle Yates signature is technically the 12.7, the 14.3, which it will also be available in, is not his preferred paddle. Yeah, again, there isn't too much that we can say about these. Obviously, this is still part of the Bantam line, so you can already start to picture what this is going to feel like. If you had to say in little words, how did you feel about this battle?
Good.
Good.
Well,
It's hard.
for me, no good. Good.
Okay. Yeah, I have the opposite opinion. Again, because I don't think I can dive into specific numbers, but I at least want to say something qualitatively. I could not put the 12.7 down. I think that there is going to be I think there are a significant number of people who would love this paddle, especially due to how popular the Paddleteks already are.
If you like the Christian Alshon paddle, you'll like this.
Yes.
I can say that, right?
Yes, and I think that there are people who would like this even more than the Alshon. The problem is the shape is kind of ugly. It is
a weird shape.
The shape is kind of ugly, and it reminds me, I think this paddle is going to be to Paddletek like the Agassi paddle is to Yola. The Agassi is something that a lot of people are slowly catching on to how good it is. I wish I definitely started that trend, by the way. But people held off on it for so long because number one, because it wasn't Ben's paddle, and number two, because it was an ugly shape.
Yeah.
And still, well, is an ugly shape. The Paddletek is going to see something similar, I think. But I'm excited for these to come out. I definitely want to full review these. That's what I'm going to say at this point, because I think these, or at least mini review them and do a comparison to the others, because it definitely, these deserve some airtime.
Yeah.
The 14.3 as well.
I like this one.
Yeah. Aaron 14.3 good. Me 12.7 I think good.
Yeah. I mean, they're both good.
They're both good.
But yeah, I'll say if you like the ESQC, it's good too.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the best one out of the lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, by a lot. Cool. All right. That's paddles for today.
Nice.
Cool. All right, well, let's get to it. You've got a lesson to get to. I've got practice for a minor league tournament.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, I'm on the Flash Duper 16 team for this weekend.
Oh, Dallas Flash, let's go.
Yeah, next one I'll do the Duper 22, but this time
all right,
they put me on the 16.
We're gonna
Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, remember to like, subscribe, comment down below any thoughts that you guys have. Again, discount codes for everything we talked about today also in the description. And I hope you all stay happy and healthy and out on the courts until the next one. Peace. Cool.
Lucky you gotta like edit out all this background noise.
Of course. I always have to.
It's like popping on a Friday.
It really is, yeah. And yeah. Oh, and let us know if you like the camera view. I think we're gonna do gameplay in the background and then just this one camera. Somebody suggested this. Let us know if you like it or we should change it again. Cool.